Hi, Eileen. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, Lois. Thank you for your Facebook wishes too.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
How you doing, Benny?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
Okay, thanks.
Good, good, good.
Oh.
I wonder if many people will be in the congregation tonight.
Maybe not because it's a holiday weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Rabbi. No cancer tonight.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
I guess there are people in the congregation because she's talking to them.
Shabbat shalom, Benny and Lois.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom,
shalom.
Sherry. I guess we should mute ourselves.
Cold.
We've been asking folks to leave their mask on, so we'll just go with that for tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marshall Kisner, and on behalf of Congregation Beth Chaim, it is an honor to welcome you this evening to Shabbat services on Zoom and from in the synagogue. For those of you who are wearing aids, sorry, can everyone hear me? Okay. For those of you who are wearing hearing aids with the T-Coil program, you can access our hearing loop using this program. We have headphones for those who do not have compatible hearing aids, and we have large print prayer books as well. Both are located at the table at the entrance to the sanctuary. We want to maintain a warm and welcoming feeling for these services and to create a sacred space that will inspire prayer. For those on Zoom, please help us by staying muted unless the clergy invites you to unmute and participate. For those praying in person, we ask you turn off your cell phones and be present with us. Please keep your mask on, covering your nose and mouth the entire time you're in our building. Although we are physically separated and masked, we are all one community in prayer and celebration. As we prepare to begin our Shabbat service, I want to share a bit of my Jewish journey. When I was a kid, every holiday I would go to Flushing, New York, to visit my grandfather, and he was very religious and had a place at the synagogue where he would sit next to the rabbi for every service. So until I was about 15 years old, I would sit next to the rabbi every time I visited my grandfather in synagogue. So that's a little bit of my story. As we move into the sacredness of Shabbat, please join us in song and prayer.
Thank you, Marshall. One day we'll be able to be close enough so you can sit next to the rabbi again. We're going to start on page 24. 24 with an oldie but goodie in your prayer books. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Yom, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. B'chem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Bachuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Yom, Mi-Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidkam Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Yom, Mi-Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Gratitude is definitely the word of the week, and I'm grateful to be with all of you tonight. We have a minion in person and a minion on Zoom. And we're now going to officially welcome in this Shabbat of Thanksgiving weekend together, as it is my pleasure to call up Carol Tischler and Howard Schachter to help us light the Sabbath candles. We're going to turn to pages 2 and 3 in our prayer book to welcome in this day of rest with light. So if you'll start us off with that English reading on page 3.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find the knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead to acts of kindness, peace, and love. I don't know how to use that. I'm going to use a mask. Ta Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu l'shel haShabbat.
Amen. Thank you both. And in just 2 nights, we're going to add into the mix our Chanukah candles. And next Friday night, you'll hear a little bit more about this later on, is going to be a very festive Shabbat with lots of, hopefully, Chanukiot, lots of Hanukkah menorahs. I ask everyone who's able to please rise as we turn to Kiddush on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. B'Shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh. Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Please be seated. We switched back to the white grape juice. Blech. It took me a long time to fall in love with purple grape juice. My grandmother didn't understand what child doesn't like purple grape juice. And now I'm a grape juice snob. What can I say? Page 20, we're going to turn to Lecha Dodi. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and 5 seated, and then for 9, we'll rise and greet our beloved Shabbat. Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Ishmi anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemo tiferet ve'lipila Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat mikabela. Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat mikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha Ki hi mekor habracha mirosh mikeder nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. Hitoreri hitoreri kiva orech kumi ori uri uri shir daberi Kivod Adonai alayich nigla Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. Boi shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'b'tzola toch emunei am tegula boi chala Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likar kalai yalalai 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 penei Shabbat nikabela. I invite you to turn to your neighbors, greet them Shabbat Shalom, send a message through the chat. Shabbat Shalom to all our friends at home or near and far. We are going to stay standing though as we turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkara v'yitkara shemei rabba v'yalma divrat hirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael bagala bagala u'v'zman kariv v'imanu amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach, Le'alam Olam Me'amaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yipar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yithalev, V'yithalav, Shemei Nekudesha Brichu, Le'elam Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechemata, Tamiran B'yama, B'yamanu, Amen. Page 28. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Vahed. We read together on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. And we read responsively on the bottom of 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Malshem Yehov Malchuto Le'olam Vaed. Please be seated. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha v'derech v'shochbecha v'kumecha v'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotefot b'neinecha v'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha v'visharecha Lemam tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 38. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and savior who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You perform miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel from out of their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously. Page 40. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai Ya lai la lai la lai la 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 lai. Ya la lai lai ya la lai la lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh. Malchutecha ra'u vanecha, Vokei hayam mipnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'elianu ve'amru, Ze'elianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 la, yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai, ya lai la lai la lai la 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 la, yai lai 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 ya la lai lai lai. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Top of page 44. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Ubayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. We rise as we are able for the Amidah, which begins on page 46. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei Hako, Bezocher Haste Avot Vimahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'nehem, Lema'an Shemo Biava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atarav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Umori HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofe Cholim, Omatir Asurim, Umekayeh Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamochal Ba'al Gevurot Umito Melach Melech Meimit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua B'ne'eman Ata Lahachayot HaKol Baruch Atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol. Atah Kadosh B'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kdoshim B'chol Yom Yahalalu Chasela Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated and join me on the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We turn to page 58 for our prayer for gratitude, a prayer that gets an extra insertion in the traditional liturgy next week for the festival of Hanukkah. Especially at that dark time of year, we want to echo or bring into our lives a little extra gratitude. And I'd love to hear who is grateful for what this week. I can definitely express gratitude for hosting my very first Thanksgiving meal and a very delicious turkey that my husband made. So a couple of firsts that were very well received. Any other gratitude? Keith. Your new home. Thank God for places like McCaffrey's. Grateful for a first Thanksgiving in a new home, grateful to be with your family at this time, and grateful to bring in those who needed a place to gather. So we'll pause there and say together, Modim Anachnu Lach. Any other blessings we want to share tonight? Mira, what are we getting through Zoom? Grateful to reunite with family members due to COVID, yeah. Oh, all right, so we'll pause to say, Modim Anachnu Lach. Anything else we want to share with our community tonight? Grateful that we had sunshine on Thanksgiving, so the children could play outside for a little bit. And one last time, Modim Anachnu Lach. Page 61 at the bottom. Don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating and making musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first. We take a few moments for silent reflection, and we'll come back together in just a moment on page 62. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai turi Adonai turi begoali. We skip ahead to page 253. 253 for Misha Berach, as we send out our love and prayers to all those in need of healing. Healing of the body, healing of the mind, healing of the heart, and healing of the soul. We have the names of loved ones on the screen and names of loved ones coming in by chat, but I invite those in the sanctuary to share names out loud now. In their honor, we invoke the names of our ancestors, asking God to look out for our loved ones the way we feel God has looked out for those who've come before us. Misheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So I knew I wanted to speak about gratitude tonight, but when I came across this teaching, I had to share it with all of you. So in the name of the late Sir Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, I offer the power of gratitude. In the early 1990s, one of the great medical research exercises of modern times took place. It became known as the Nun Study. Some 700 American nuns, all members of the School Sisters of Notre Dame in the United States, agreed to allow their records to be accessed by a research team investigating the process of aging and Alzheimer's disease. At the start of the study, the participants were aged between 75 and 102. What gave this study its unusual longitudinal scope is that in 1930, the nuns, then in their 20s, had been asked by the Mother Superior to write a brief autobiographical account of their life and their reasons for entering the convent. These documents were now analyzed by the researchers using a specially devised coding system to register, among other things, positive and negative emotions. By annually assessing the nuns' current state of health, the researchers were able to test whether their emotional state in 1930 had an effect on their health some 60 years later. Because they had all lived a very similar lifestyle during those 6 decades, they formed an ideal group for testing hypotheses about the relationship between emotional attitudes and health. The results, published in 2001, were startling. The more positive emotions, contentment, gratitude, happiness, love, and hope, the nuns expressed in their autobiographical notes, the more likely they were to be alive and well 60 years later. The difference was as much as 7 years in life expectancy. So remarkable was this finding that it has led since then to a new field of gratitude research, as well as a deepening understanding of the impact of emotions on physical health. What medicine now knows about individuals, our ancestor Moses knew about nations. Gratitude, in Hebrew hakarat hatov, is at the heart of what he had to say about the Israelites and their future in the Promised Land. Gratitude had not been their strong point in the desert. They complained about lack of food and water, about the manna and the lack of meat and vegetables, about the dangers they faced from the Egyptians as they were leaving, and about the inhabitants of the land they were about to enter. They lacked thankfulness during the difficult times. A greater danger still, said Moses, would be a lack of gratitude during the good times. This is what he warned them in the book of Deuteronomy. When you have eaten your fill and have built fine houses and live in them, and when your herds and flocks have multiplied, and your silver and gold is multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, do not exalt yourself, forgetting the eternal your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. Do not say to yourself, my power and the might of my own hand have gained me this wealth. The worst thing that could happen to them, Moses warned, would be that they forgot how they came to the land, how God had promised it to their ancestors and had taken them from slavery to freedom, sustaining them during the 40 years in the wilderness. This was a revolutionary idea, that the nation's history be engraved on people's souls, that it was to be reenacted in the annual cycle of festivals, and that the nation as a nation should never attribute its achievements to itself, my power and the might of my own hand, but should always ascribe its victories, indeed its very existence, to something higher than itself. We might call it God. The Torah certainly does. This is a dominant theme of Deuteronomy, and it echoes throughout the book time and again. Since the publication of the Nun Study and the flurry of further research it inspired, we now know of the multiple effects of developing an attitude of gratitude. It improves physical health and immunity against disease. Grateful people are more likely to take regular exercise and go for regular medical checkups. Thankfulness reduces toxic emotions such as resentment, frustration, and regret, and makes depression less likely. It helps people avoid overreacting to negative experiences by seeking revenge. It even tends to make people sleep better. It enhances self-respect, makes it less likely that you will envy others for their achievements or success. Grateful people tend to have better relationships. Saying thank you enhances friendships and elicits better performance from employees. It is also a major factor in strengthening resilience. One study of Vietnam War vets found that those with higher levels of gratitude suffered lower incidence of post-traumatic stress disorder. Remembering the many things we have to be thankful for helps us survive painful experiences, from losing a job to bereavement. Jewish prayer is an ongoing seminar in gratitude. Birchot HaShachar, the morning blessings said at the start of each morning, they form a litany of thanksgiving for life itself, for the human body, for the physical world, land to stand on, and eyes with which to see. The first words we say each morning, modeh or moda ani, I thank you, mean that we begin each day by giving thanks first. Though you don't have to be religious to be grateful, there is something about belief in God as creator of the universe, shaper of history and author of the laws of life that directs and facilitates our gratitude as Jewish people. It is hard to feel grateful to a universe that came into existence for no reason and is blind to us and our fate. It is precisely our faith in God that gives force and focus to our thanks. It is no coincidence then that the United States, founded by Puritans, Calvinists steeped in the Hebrew Bible, should have a day known as Thanksgiving, recognizing the presence of God in American history. On October 3rd, 1863, at the height of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln issued a Thanksgiving proclamation, thanking God that the nation was at war with itself. Thanking God that even though, the nation was at war with itself, there were still blessings for which both sides could express gratitude: a fruitful harvest, no foreign invasion, and so on. President Lincoln continued, no human counsel hath devised, nor hath any mortal hand worked out these great things. They are the gracious gifts of the Most High God, who, while dealing with us in anger for our sins, hath nevertheless remembered mercy. I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens. And I recommend to them that while offering up the ascriptions justly due to him for such singular deliverances and blessings, they do also, with humble penitence for our national perverseness and disobedience, commend to his tender care all those who have become widows, orphans, mourners, or sufferers in the lamentable civil strife in which we are unavoidably engaged, and fervently implore the interposition of the Almighty hand to heal the wounds of the nation and to restore it as soon as may be consistent with the divine purposes to the full enjoyment of peace, harmony, tranquility, and union. What might such a declaration made today in Israel, the United States, or indeed anywhere do to heal the wounds that so divide nations today? Thanksgiving is as important to societies as it is to individuals. It protects us from resentments and the arrogance of power. It reminds us of how dependent we are on others and on a force greater than ourselves. As with individuals, so with nations, Thanksgiving is essential to happiness and health. I was incredibly touched by this teaching shared by a British rabbi who didn't have to reflect on the American tradition of Thanksgiving, but did so in a beautiful way that ties both Jewish tradition but also American tradition. And I don't think I had a full understanding before coming across this teaching by Rabbi Sachs that Thanksgiving was initiated in the midst of war. What a powerful thing to stop amid this strife and try to establish a day with such lofty goals, and that we continue to celebrate that day every year. And so with Rabbi Sachs's words ringing in our hearts and minds, I invite you to turn to page 282 for Aleinu, our prayer that we partner with God to rebuild, to repair, to bring more thanksgiving, peace, and harmony to this world. I ask everyone who's able to please rise, and we'll read together on the bottom of the page. 282. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gidula liotzer breshit, shelo atzanu kiduye haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot hadama, shelo sam elkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anavnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ ומושב עיקרו בשמיים עמו ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים הוא אלוהינו ein od emet malkeinu efes ulato kakatu v'torato yadayam behashivota elevavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim imal v'yaharetz mitachat ein hod. 287. V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad U'shema echad. Please be seated. We turn to page 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair. For we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. In a moment, we'll read the words on page 294, and I'll ask you to please rise at your seat if I recite the name of your loved one. This Shabbat, we remember the following, whose loved ones are in the period of Shloshim, those first 30 days of mourning. Betty Ram, Rachel Puchati, daughter of Sandy and Joe. Dr. Cliff Gordon, father of Shara Hoffing. Teddy Molaski, friend of Keith Sachs. Joseph Alkali, father of Rona Millinger. Gerald Gittleman, uncle of Helene Malter. Terry Perkins, cousin of Ellen Chason. And I learned right before Shabbat, one was taken from us this week, Evelyn Kamen, mother-in-law of Ruth Kamen. And remember the following yard sites, the anniversary of the passing of these loved ones. Milton Abelkop, Hyman Berman, Mel Blaine, Helen Diamond, Etta Ettenberg, Sarah Feldman, Mary Leonard, Barry Goldschmidt, Jean Clipper, Estelle Carlin Kalstein, Joseph Seletsky, Dorothy Ockrent, Michelle and Coleman Levy, Miriam Katz, B. Bunin, Herman Neidick, Glenn Rubenstein, Manuel Sachs, Celia Schraub, Natalie Carlo, Rhoda Staffenberg, Lillian Pachars, Robert Consovoy, Morris Ritter, Stanley Eisner, George Washansky, Nathan Goldberg, Esfir Lyubinskaya, Ethel Mann, Harriet Feinberg, Hadassah Rubin, Jonathan Selikoff, Jerome Hyams, and Lawrence Tabor. For all those and many more whom we carry in our hearts, we rise together as we are able, as one congregation, and join together on 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uchaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'alam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shumei d'kudusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Da amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may the memory of all we love be a blessing. Please be seated as I invite Marshall back up for a few announcements.
We're so pleased that you joined us for the Shabbat service this evening. We hope you found the service to be meaningful. Thank you, Mira Brzezowski, for being on our Zoom tech support tonight. As always, a great job. Again, I'm Marshall Kisner, and Liz Hughes is also here in the back. We're part of the board of directors representing the synagogue. We'll be available in the lobby after services if you have any questions or want to hear any comments you might have. It's a quiet weekend, holiday weekend. This week, not too much going on. Torah study will be held in the chapel tomorrow morning, 8:45. Please join us next Friday, December 3rd at 7:30 for our special Hanukkah Shabbat services. We want to hear from you. The Reimagining Jews Task Force invites you to participate in a conversation to help plan for Beth Chaim's future. We are looking for a variety of perspectives. Please click the link in the weekly email and give a little of your time. We are a very active and vibrant community. Check our website, bethchaim.org, for notices of meetings, classes, and activities. You can see our calendar and further information in the newsletter, which is available just outside the office. You may grab a copy on your way out and see the board in the lobby for a full list of activities. Thank you again for joining us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Amir, am I correct that Adria Sherman also helped with tech tonight? Surprise helper. And am I also correct that the Cantor's mother is on even though he is taking a break this Shabbat? Gail, it's so good to see you. And I know I don't hold a candle to his voice, but I do my best. We're going to finish out tonight with a prayer for peace, page 343 near the bottom. 343. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, bimru, amen. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. God, please bless us on this Friday of Thanksgiving and protect us always. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light shine upon us, and may God be gracious to us. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May we always feel that God's presence is near, and may we be blessed with the greatest gift of all, the gift of peace and wholeness. And together we say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Have a good beginning of
Shabbat shalom,
Hanukkah.
everyone. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Happy Hanukkah.
Good to see you, Gail.
Good to see you too, Sherry. Be well.